The United States has a long and complicated history with political parties. From the very beginning, there have been disagreements about the best way to govern the country. These disagreements led to the formation of different political groups, each with its own set of beliefs about the role of government, social issues, and the economy. Understanding the history of these parties is essential to understanding American politics today. The two main parties we know today, the Democrats and the Republicans, weren't always around. In the early days of the United States, there were the Federalists, led by Alexander Hamilton, and the Democratic Republicans, led by Thomas Jefferson. The Federalists believed in a strong central government, while the Democratic Republicans favored more power to the states. The Democratic Republicans eventually became just the Democratic Party. They were the party of Andrew Jackson, a popular president who believed in expanding voting rights for all white men, not just the wealthy. The Democratic Party of the early 1800s was a powerful force. Andrew Jackson's presidency ushered in an era known as Jacksonian Democracy. This period saw a shift in power from the elites to the common man. The Democrats favored states' rights and a limited federal government. However, the issue of slavery began to create deep divisions within the party. By the mid-1800s, the Democratic Party found itself increasingly split over the issue of slavery. The Republican Party was formed in 1854 as a direct response to the expansion of slavery. The Republicans opposed the expansion of slavery into new territories and advocated for its eventual abolition. The party quickly gained support in the North and elected Abraham Lincoln as president in 1860. Lincoln's election led to the secession of southern states and the Civil War. After the war, the Republicans led the effort to reconstruct the South and grant civil rights to freed slaves. Section 5. The Gilded Age and the Rise of Business. The late 19th century, often referred to as the Gilded Age, was a time of rapid industrialization and economic growth in the United States. During this period, the Republican Party became closely aligned with business interests. They supported policies that encouraged industrial expansion, such as high tariffs and limited government regulation. The Democrats, on the other hand, drew support from farmers and laborers who felt left behind by the rapid changes of the era. Section 6. Democrats, the New Deal, and the Civil Rights Movement. This section delves into the transformative periods in American history when the Democratic Party played a pivotal role in shaping the nation's socio-economic and political landscape. The Great Depression of the 1930s brought about a dramatic shift in American politics. The economic collapse left millions of Americans unemployed and desperate, leading to widespread poverty and hardship. Breadlines and soup kitchens became common sights in cities across the country, symbolizing the dire need for government intervention. The Democratic Party, under the leadership of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, embraced a more active role for the federal government in addressing economic hardship. Roosevelt's charismatic leadership and innovative policies aimed to restore hope and stability to a nation in crisis. His fireside chats became a source of comfort and reassurance for many Americans. FDR's New Deal programs, which included Social Security, were groundbreaking. These initiatives aimed to provide a safety net for the most vulnerable citizens. The Social Security Act of 1935, for instance, introduced pensions for the elderly and benefits for the unemployed, marking a significant shift in the government's role in ensuring the welfare of its people. Unemployment insurance and other New Deal programs fundamentally reshaped the relationship between the government and its citizens. These programs provided much-needed relief and helped to stabilize the economy. They also laid the groundwork for future social welfare policies, establishing a precedent for federal responsibility in times of economic distress. Decades later, the Democrats became champions of the civil rights movement. The struggle for civil rights in the 1960s was a defining moment in American history, as activists fought tirelessly for equality and justice. The Democratic Party, recognizing the importance of this movement, began to advocate for civil rights legislation and support the efforts of civil rights leaders. Leaders like Lyndon B. Johnson pushed for legislation that outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were landmark achievements that sought to dismantle systemic racism and ensure equal rights for all Americans. Johnson's commitment to civil rights was a testament to the evolving priorities of the Democratic Party and its dedication to social justice. Section 7. Republicans, Conservatism, and the Rise of Reagan. In the decades following World War II, the Republican Party underwent a significant transformation. The party increasingly embraced conservative principles, advocating for lower taxes, limited government intervention in the economy, and a strong national defense. The election of Ronald Reagan in 1980 marked a turning point for the Republican Party. Reagan's presidency ushered in an era of conservative dominance, characterized by tax cuts, deregulation, and a renewed focus on traditional values. Section 8. The parties in the 21st century. The 21st century has brought new challenges and changes to the American political landscape. The rapid pace of technological advancements, the effects of globalization, and the increasing awareness of social and economic inequalities have all played significant roles in shaping the political discourse. Both the Democratic and Republican parties have had to grapple with these complex issues. The political arena has become a battleground for ideas and policies aimed at addressing the needs and concerns of a diverse and evolving electorate. The Democratic Party has become more diverse, with a growing emphasis on issues such as climate change, healthcare, and income inequality. This shift reflects the party's commitment to addressing the pressing concerns of a broad coalition of voters, including young people, minorities, and progressive activists. Democratic leaders have championed policies aimed at reducing carbon emissions, expanding access to affordable healthcare, and implementing economic reforms to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. The Republican Party, on the other hand, has seen a resurgence of populist sentiment, fueled by concerns over immigration, trade, and the perceived erosion of traditional values. This populist wave has been characterized by a strong emphasis on national sovereignty, economic protectionism, and a return to conservative social values. Republican leaders have focused on policies aimed at securing borders, renegotiating trade deals, and preserving what they see as the cultural and moral fabric of the nation. The party's base has become increasingly vocal and influential, driving the party's agenda and shaping its future direction. Section 9. Populism, polarization, and the future of the two-party system. The rise of populism in recent years has had a profound impact on both parties. On the left, figures like Bernie Sanders have energized progressive voters with calls for economic justice and systemic change. On the right, Donald Trump's election in 2016 exposed deep divisions within the Republican Party and the country as a whole. Trump's brand of populist nationalism resonated with voters who felt left behind by globalization and cultural shifts. Section 10. Conclusion: an ever-evolving landscape. The history of the Democratic and Republican parties is a testament to the ever-evolving nature of American politics. These two major political entities have been at the forefront of shaping the nation's policies and direction for centuries. From their origins in the early days of the Republic to their present-day incarnations, both parties have undergone significant transformations. The Democratic Party, founded in the early 19th century, initially championed agrarian interests and states' rights, while the Republican Party, established in the mid-19th century, emerged as the party of abolition and industrial growth. Over the decades, these parties have shifted their platforms and policies, reflecting the changing demographics, ideologies, and challenges facing the nation. The Democratic Party has evolved to advocate for social justice, civil rights, and progressive economic policies, while the Republican Party has come to emphasize free market principles, limited government, and traditional values. As the United States continues to grapple with issues of social justice, economic inequality, and its role in the world, the political landscape remains dynamic. Movements for racial equality, gender rights, and economic reform have pushed both parties to reconsider and redefine their positions. The two major parties will undoubtedly continue to adapt and evolve, responding to the electorate's demands and the nation's pressing issues. Campaign strategies, policy proposals, and party leadership are all subject to change as new challenges and opportunities arise. Shaping the political landscape for generations to come, the Democratic and Republican parties will play crucial roles in the ongoing story of American democracy. Their ability to adapt to the times while staying true to their core principles will determine their future relevance and impact on the nation's trajectory.